Hey everybody, it is Tam today. How are you? We are here with the Dreamers Lounge on today. This is a place where we talk about our dreams, we talk about our purpose, and we are able to just kind of be in a dreamer space. Sometimes it's weird when we don't get to talk about our dreams with other dreamers, right? Because not everybody understands where a dreamer is coming from. But I'm gonna get Rita on right now because she's amazing. And I'm going to request her. Let's see. Hidden. There we go. All right. Hey, I got my Rita on. Let's see. Hi there, my piece of happy. Yes. Hi, Rita. I got her on, guys. I got her on. Good to see you guys, those that are here with me. I had a week, guys. I'm going to just be honest.
I'm like, I literally, I'm out of breath. I literally just switched out my baby's sheets and stuff because she ended up wet in the bed last night. I'm like, I forgot to put it in the dryer. I'm like, she gonna go. I've had a day, but I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I'm thankful that you're here. So everyone who's here, we are here to encourage dreamers. And honestly, this week, I needed my girl Rita because I had a moment. I was like, listen, help another dreamer out. Hey, Candace. We just gonna have a sister chat today.
Yes.
And Megan, I saw you on here. So I am happy to see you. I want you to know that everybody, first of all, off top, that Rita has come out with an amazing new book. I know this is good stock. Okay, she is good stock. She is an amazing woman of God, and she has been dreaming for a while. And I kind of want to talk about dreamer spaces today. So, have you had dreams in most of your phases of your life? Like as a single, did you have dreams that God gave you?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely had dreams, but they weren't as clear as they are now. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
All I had was, I was really all about purpose. I want to know what my purpose
Mm-hmm.
is, what I'm called to do. And so God did give me certain dreams that sprang out of that, but it was very, I would say, like blurry or very generic and general. But as I continued to journey, I would say it began to get clearer and clearer. And not that I'm perfectly clear right now. You know what I'm saying? I think that as we go through different phases, he does give more and more pieces to the puzzle. But back then I was definitely a dreamer, just, didn't have
So how do you feel like when you were discovering your purpose? What kind of things did you do, or how did God kind of say that to you? Or how do you feel like he was leading you into your purpose?
the way that God talks to me a lot of times is kind of like I'm like in encryption puzzle.
That's true, guys. Did you hear that? Encryption puzzles. It's true.
But
It's
everybody's
true.
not like that. Some people are like, hello, just get to the point, God. Tell me X, Y, Z, A, B, C. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But that's part of me and God's relationship to where he'll talk to me in symbolic dreams, for example, or he'll talk to me
Mm.
what another person says, and then I'll go back to him later on and he'll begin to give him a revelation. And so what he did was basically gave it to me in pieces. Some things came through like actual dreams while I was sleeping, and he would interpret certain things. Some things just came through. Like what I did was, I remember at one point in my life, I was really confused. So I would ask people around me who I knew that knew me well,
Mm-hmm.
what it was that they saw in me. So what do they think I'm good? You know what I'm saying? And kid you not, people would say around the same things, but I could not see it myself. Like,
Mm.
oh, I can see you talking. I'm terrified. Like, what?
I would not believe that right now, but yeah.
You're a great speaker. I can see that. I never, ever would have thought that I would be talking to anybody. It's just not something that I thought I would do. But the more I began to get that feedback, I'm like, okay, if they're seeing these things, there must be something here, God. And so I'll allow him to, just pour more into me about that.
That's really good. I want you guys to pick up that piece, that it's okay to ask those who are close around you. I've actually did it this week. Um, because honestly, even though I'm about to be 40 years old, the reality is sometimes you forget, like, what is it that I'm good at? And it is okay to ask others around you, because other people sometimes are inspired by God to just give you good feedback. And it's okay to ask your friends, your best friends, what is it that you see, and write those things down. So this time I wrote it down because I was like, I don't want to forget this, because I keep forgetting and I keep having to ask people again and again.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can't be afraid of asking people, what is it that you see? Also, the dream, the pieces that you were saying that God was speaking to you, that reminds me of Joseph, because I'm pretty sure he didn't think, like, when he was shown all those things in his dream,
He had no
he
idea.
he had no idea what he was supposed to do with that. And then he kind of, figured it out in the different phases that God. Yes. So how can I know that you're a mother now and you are a wife. How does dreaming take on a different look when you add other people to the puzzle? I know.
I am still literally trying to figure that out. I would not say that I've got it figured out by any means, because obviously I'm married, right? And
Yes.
as a wife, we're called to be a helpmeet and to help our
Yes.
our husband and certain things. So
Yeah.
he has his own dreams, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm.
there are ways in which it correlates. If you would ask me before, I would have saw us working more closely together.
That's my life too, though. That's my life too. Mm-hmm.
But it did not take on, the vision that I saw. But I do see how they do correlate. And so there is a real balance between, being a helpmeet with his dreams and then coming into my own, which we're very, very supportive of one another's dreams. But it's definitely that balancing act, because my first call is, a wife.
Yes. Yeah.
My call is a mother,
Yes.
And
yes.
so it's really what I've done recently is just asking God more and more just for his help. Like, Holy Spirit, help me, show me what this looks like. You know what I'm saying? And you'll be surprised, like, how he would just, not that and it doesn't always come through like him telling you or talking to you, but just the wisdom that you'll gain, whether it's from other people or just as you go about it, like, you'll be surprised as something as simple as asking the Holy Spirit, how to is how helpful.
That's good. How to navigate all this. I mean, because that's kind of where a lot of us are. We're all trying to navigate. And then as he opens doors, we walk through them and different things like that. And so the hard part when we're in the mother phase and the wife phase is we're always trying to say, well, what is success? So how would you define success being God's dreamer? The world has their own view of what success is. How would you view success as God's dreamer? How do you process?
And it's good to always ask yourself this question. I know I always do, to ground myself, because if we're not careful, we'll get caught up in what this person is doing, what they got going on, that's their success, but what I define as success is doing what God's called me to do in that moment. You know what I'm saying? And changes too, sometimes he'll have me more focused on one thing. Or I remember in one season I literally had I do sometimes these mentorship boot camps, and so I remember I was enrolling a new cohort, people had signed up and all these things. Holy Spirit say, boo, like, you're not supposed to do it this round. Like, that's not what's happening.
That's so good.
Contact people, refund them their money and all this. He had me in a season of more focus on my home and on my kids, and then COVID hit, and I didn't understand in the moment why all of that, why he would tell me that season, especially because things were ramping up for me. I'm like, what, God? It doesn't make any sense. And so I would say success looks like doing whatever it is God's calling you to do in your season and in that timing.
I have like 10 questions in my head just after that, because as dreamers, right, creative people, sometimes we're like trains and we just take off.
Yeah.
But what is it when God says to pause, when he says to go? And how did your heart really take that? Were you just kind of like, what in the world? Why would you tell me to pause right now? But now you're in a go season. So I love talking about when God pauses and goes. And tells you to go. How did you process that in your heart?
It was tough. Well, and okay, I would say it was tough, but it wasn't tough because I see how I needed that. I needed to pause. I needed to pour more into my family. I needed to pour more into my kids and into my husband. And then I gained so much just spiritually during that time of just being in a season of rest. You know what I'm saying? But what really helped me, if I'm being honest, is somebody sent me a sermon by Mike Todd, and
Yeah.
it was called "Grace for the Pace," and
Yeah.
only blessed me something good. You hear me? It's just something about hearing other people's testimony. And he talked about how there was a season where I think God did something similar where I think they were gearing up for maybe resurrection or something like that. And God was telling him to scale back. I'm giving the very shorthanded version. But shortly after that, so when his ministry began to take off like never before. And so that blessed me is because in his obedience, you know what I'm saying? That's how God was able to bless him. So after I heard him, like, I know I heard God. I'm chilling, you know. I can rest in what God says because he knows best, you know?
The grace for the pace. I think everybody really, as dreamers, we really have to learn how to, you know, and embrace that. I can be honest, sometimes when I see a vision, I'm all for it, and I'm just kind of like, God, what's up with this pace thing? Like, why are you putting me in another holding pattern? And so how would you encourage someone who you said it, but I kind of want you to repeat it, who's being on a pause moment, who God is saying, you know, you're in a pause?
Yeah. One thing about me is I really don't want to go ahead of God. Like if we're saying we're doing all stuff for God, right? You have to really go back to why am I doing what I'm doing? Because sometimes we get into a mode of I'm doing it because it sounds good, it was a good idea, or you know, the person is doing something. I feel like I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
And so constantly I'm pulling myself back. Okay, why am I doing this? What's the purpose in this? And so we're really doing it because, you know, to glorify God and to do things and to, you know, win souls and whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Then we're going to, obviously he knows best. He's the one that gave us the vision.
Yes.
He gave us purpose. He put it on the inside of us. Why wouldn't we follow the one who gave it to us in the first place? We obviously, the way I look at it is I know nothing. I am not smart, but the Holy Spirit makes me look smart on the daily because just on my own, I cannot do it. So that's why I always go back to why am I doing this again? I could be in corporate America. I could be just a regular housewife, just doing nothing, take care of my kids. I tell you on a daily, almost daily, I'm like, why am I doing this? Can I just take care of my kids? And, you know. But if you go back to your why in the who ultimately God, and the who is ultimately his people, we love God and we do it because we love his people. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that a lot of people, they're doing things, and I had to get to this point too. They're doing things, and but they don't have the love for the people. You know what I'm saying? It's about the people. It's about God, and it's about the people. So if we're doing it without even loving the people who we're called to, it's just like, you know what I'm saying? So I just always got to take that back. Like, why am I doing this again? It's as simple as that for me.
That leads me to my next question, which is a really good lead in. So I read something that says when you're dreaming, it's not about you, but I want to know what helps you get beyond yourself to focus on, you know, God's kingdom or the reason why you're doing the dream. I mean, it's just so hard sometimes when we're seeing a whole bunch of stuff. How do we get beyond ourselves to not make it so much about us?
That's a good question. Things for me, number one is I always think about how I was. So the people I'm called to them because I was in a similar situation. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, if I have this, you know, this secret, you know, that I want everybody to know about, so good. I gotta do it. Like I have the answer is Jesus, and I want other people to get that answer too. I remember how my life was. I remember how I had no hope. I remember how I was headed for destruction. I remember all those things. So I want to take other people with me just out of because why not? You know what I'm saying? I have the good news. And so I always take it to that. And number two, it seems like whenever I am like, that's it. I'm over this. I'm done. I kid you not, Tim. Like somebody would email me or, you know, DM me or something, just and just encourage me. Like they didn't even know I needed it. They'll be like, this email really helped me out. This blog really helped me. This video, whatever the case may be. And so I hold on to those things because that's the reason why I'm doing it. It helped me to, I wasn't depressed. I was about to give up. You know what I'm saying? And so those things really help to keep me going. That's just why.
That goes back to it. You're reminding me. Thank you for that, because I'm having a moment of saying that message you want to get out there. So a lot of people talk about your pain, your purpose being connected to your pain, kind of like follow that track. And you said, what was it that I wanted to give that girl, that single girl who was like, wait a minute, where my ring at?
Yeah.
You think about that. And a lot of my desire to talk about purpose and dreams is because I was that confused young adult who was just kind of like, I just didn't know anything. And I felt like I didn't have any indication as to how God was forming me. I want girls and women to understand that while we're thankful for men, right? We're thankful for men,
right.
But there's a reason we were made.
Exactly.
And I know you talk about that in your book.
Huge piece. That's one of the main pieces. You know what I'm saying? There's no man, no other thing without you being you and whole and knowing who you are first and foremost. That's huge.
That is huge. So I love that you said that, just really saying, I have a message. It's the good news. If you guys don't take anything from what Rita saying today, understand that your dreams are connected to a message. Your dreams are connected to something that you've walked through that you're like, wait a minute, I know that there's an answer to that problem. That's really good. So talk about a little bit about Hidden and Found. I want to hear that. I know God placed that on your heart, but what was it that made you say, I know that this is the message that I'm supposed to speak to?
Yeah, again, it's in phases, right? So I would say before I was found and I was single, I noticed there was a shift to where I was this, victimized person, really wanting the husband and just real thirsty. And then just settling for any other thing. I know there was at least like a really marked shift in my life. And so I would begin to have these thoughts and I would notice that I don't think the same way that I used to think, right? And so I would go to like want to post statuses on my Facebook, just like revelations that the Lord would give me, but I would feel bad. Like I would be like, but I haven't been found yet. Like I'm not married. So why would they listen to me? Like I don't got no man. Like, I would want to say some of the same things that I speak to single women at right now, but I would just refrain because I didn't feel like I was credible because I did not have a husband, right? So, time passed and I did get married and I had like a miraculous, story of how me and my
did.
I had to get like literally miraculous. And so I ended up getting pregnant on my honeymoon and having Isabella just right away. So in that, I felt record. I felt like I kind of began to lose myself in that. I was a new wife.
Yes.
Now all of a sudden I'm a new mom at the same time. And so I had like a mini identity crisis to where who are you now that you're married and you're a wife? And like I knew I had a purpose within me to serve women as well. And so I just began to talk to God about that. And all he said was right. I just felt the urge to just write. And so I knew eventually a book would come, but the way I started writing was through blogs. And so I just began just journeying my time as a single woman and the revelations that I learned. And then that's how Hidden and Found was really birthed. I remember I said, I must create me an Instagram because how people want to find my blogs. And then I want to just blog. And I don't care if one person read it or, 100 people or 1,000, whatever the case may be. I'm just going to write because I feel the Lord saying right. And I know that I have a story to tell. And so that's how that was kind of birthed.
I love it. You had a story to tell. And I love the fact that when we're talking about faces, guys, this is good because people think, oh, well, everybody has a blog. So what? Do it.
Yeah.
Well, everybody has this. So what? Do it.
Yeah.
There could be something there. And for me, mine wasn't my single face because I was like, I thought I was all that, right? My problem was newlywed. So again, God, because I was like, I prayed for that man. I got that man. Hey. And so my biggest struggle was that first year of marriage. I was like, what is happening? So back to the place where you are struggling, God bursts like this message in you. So the places of struggle, the places where you're, like, gosh, you really have to seek God a lot, is a good indication that he might be calling you to that phase. So all right. I love it. So now we get to the segment. It says, what would you say? So what would you say to the dreamer that has dreams, but they are afraid? And we always say do it afraid, but what would you say to the dreamer that is afraid?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. What would I say to a dreamer that is afraid? I would say two things. First, I would say, what are you afraid of? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not I'm afraid of doing it. So what about doing it? What people will say about me, that I feel like I'm not qualified enough.
Ooh.
That it's not going to be perfect at first. You know what I'm saying?
You're saying a lot right now. Go ahead.
I have to really, it's something about being self-aware. Like, you can't just say I'm afraid. Ask yourself, why am I afraid? And really dig into that. And then be like, what's the worst case scenario? What's the worst thing that can happen? And I know when I first started my blog, that was one thing I was thinking about, like, who's going to read what I have to say? I remember thinking that, number one, if God said, and number two, I really want to help people. It doesn't matter if one person reads it or 100 people read it or 1,000 read it. You know what I'm saying? You have to ask yourself, just really get to the root of what that thing is. And yes, do it afraid. You got to sometimes. You have to do it afraid. You'll never get anywhere if you don't do it afraid. That's how I started talking. I'm sure I sounded like trash at the very beginning. Still getting better. I have not perfected you, but if you don't start somewhere, you'll never begin to perfect whatever it is that God's called you to.
Oh my goodness. She had about 3 or 4 nuggets. If you didn't catch it, hopefully I'll be able to put that back in the replay about doing it afraid, just digging into that. And I think we don't always take time to dig into why we're afraid. Like you said, what is it that's making me afraid? Is it my self-esteem? Is it that nobody's going to like you? I can't lie. I've had a lot of those things swirling. Nobody's going to like
We all have. We're human.
We are. And I do think, and that's why LEAP was a big part of my year. This is a leap year, I think, or it wasn't 2020. It might have been that. But taking the leap. Sometimes we have to take a leap. So what would you say to the dreamer that's afraid, that doesn't want to take a risk? Is there risk with being a dreamer?
There's always risk. There is always risk.
Okay.
Even if you know that you've heard God, right? Even that is by faith. But today, we only have one life to live. We only get one chance at this. That's it. And then we off into eternity. I know I'm going to be in eternity. And I'm taking as many people as I can with me on the way there. But we only get one chance. And I don't want to get before God, because we're going, as believers, we don't get judged based on sins, right? We get judged based on our works and what God told us to do. So when I face Jesus and he's like, what did you do with what I gave you? I want to hear well done. I don't want to come with the excuses, well, I was scared of what such and such is going to say. All these souls was attached to me and I didn't do what I had to do. Now it's blood on my hands. God has given us this every day we wake up. It's an opportunity. That's how we look at it. Every single day that we wake up, I say, God, this is another opportunity which you have called me
to do.
You know what I'm saying? So look at it as an opportunity. Like, if 2020 ain't teach us nothing, is that people have been leaving here, young, old, in the middle. You know what I'm saying? And what do you want to be known for after you've left this earth? Like, what type of legacy do you want to leave yourself? Do you want to, regretting, like, I was too afraid to do anything? We only get one chance. So,
that's so good. And we talked a bit about it last week about self-sabotage. So what would you say to the dreamer that is struggling with self-sabotage?
Yeah. Ooh.
That's hard. I know.
That is so hard. I think that whatever, and people might say this is you just going too far or whatever. This is you too spiritual, too deep. But it's whenever we say something that is opposite of the truth, it's a lie. I should say it's either
Mm.
truth or a lie. Something is either true or is a lie. So when we self-sabotage ourselves, even us doing it to ourselves, it's a lie. It's not the truth. And where does a lie come from? A lie comes from the enemy. And
Yeah.
so you really want to be looked at as a fool. That's what he's doing. He's playing us as a fool.
Right.
And getting us to self-sabotage ourselves. Because one thing he cannot do, he cannot destroy your destiny. But what
No.
he can do is he can
Mm.
get you to sabotage yourself and
Woo.
distract you and to make you afraid and to get you to say, you know what, never mind, it's not worth it. He can do that. He cannot destroy you in what God has for you, but he can get you to do it. And so you have to stop letting him play you for the fool. You know what I'm saying? That's what self-sabotage is. It's like you're sabotaging yourself, but really it's a lie. All lies are connected
Ah.
to the evil one. You know what I'm saying? Your enemy, the enemy of your soul. So if it's not God's been talking to me a lot lately about lies and truth, because we tell all this stuff we're telling ourselves is lies. You're not good enough. You're unworthy. You know what I'm saying? Those are all lies. You
I love you for that. I mean, you guys, if you listen, the lies that we hear often as we are pursuing God's purpose and plan, the reality is the enemy does not want us to, walk in that liberty and that freedom. He does not want us to just be in fulfillment, because it's fulfilling walking in God's, plan and purpose for your life. I'm very encouraged by this conversation, and I'm just thankful that you were here with me for the time that you were here with me.
yeah.
What would be your piece of advice that you would leave for dreamers today? What would you give them as a piece of advice?
I would say shift your focus, right? Because a lot of times we're focused on the dream, the thing, the it go, the end.
Mm.
I know I'm talking about myself because I can get so focused on, like you said, that full speed ahead. I'm focused on the thing. But I think we need to go back to basics and focus on the one who gave us the dream in the first place, right? And sometimes I've been hearing this scripture a lot too, like Revelation chapter 2, when it talks about, you've done all these things, Jesus commending them for their faith and all these things. But it says, return to your first love. Return back to me. And so sometimes we have to get back to that space of being intimate with him. And I found it's in those moments when I'm not really focused on the thing, I'm not focused on the plan, I'm not focused on the coaching stuff, I'm not focused on the blog, I'm not focused on the book. I get back to him, and that's when it's just, I'm really at my best. I'm top, and without even trying to be, you know what I'm saying? Because he's poured so much into me. Now I'm really on full, and I'm able to pour back into other people. So just shift your focus. That's what I would say. Shift your focus off of that and back onto your first love.
So do you think we can make sometimes the dream just appear? We can
I
make
think
it like an idol at times.
we definitely can make.
I said it, y'all. I
I'm
said
talking
it.
to myself. I can definitely make it an idol sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I can. We can make marriage an idol when we're single. So we can make a friendship, and we can make a bunch of stuff an idol. That as humans, we just always have to constantly check ourselves to make sure, even the stuff that is supposed to be good, that God meant to be a blessing to us. Anything that we begin to put over Him, and one way that I can find if I'm making something an idol, this is my test. If I'm offended or I'm kind of like mad at God in a way because something didn't happen, or this is not happening in the time enough, or you know what I'm saying? If I check my heart, I'm kind of getting it's pushing me away from him, it's driving a wedge. That's because it's becoming an idol. Anything that we're beginning to put over him, that's my test, girl.
Listen. Okay, today's Dreamers Lounge is called the Dreamers Refinement. So I'm hoping y'all. Okay, so I talk about this in my book, that the dreamer goes through different phases. We go through where everything is visual, right? The dream is just in front of our face. Then he begins to refine the dream,
Respond.
and refine the dreamer, because we have to carry the message.
Exactly. He's refining us in the process. Yes.
So a lot of times when all of these people, some of these speakers, some of these great people who are, doing some of the things we want to do, we haven't seen all of their dreamer process and all of the refining that they have gotten to go through, which makes them be able to be a better container of that dream. I really believe as we keep getting stripped and as we keep going through those processes, that we're able to now be like, wow, I actually can carry this without feeling comparison, without feeling envy, without feeling wanting somebody, like, it's just, wow. So
Yeah, because I hear some of those people talk about that. Like, I don't care what anybody think, and I don't compare myself to anybody, and I don't care what they say. I'm like, there was a point where I'm like, okay, I need to get. How are you there? So obviously they've gone through phases. They've gone through things to help them to get to that phase. You know what I'm saying? So we all have our different process and things that God is refining within us on the way, because it has to be sustained. You don't want to get somewhere and then it's like, you want to sustain it.
I am just, y'all, I can't lie. I'm listening to this and I'm getting like, God's like cutting me as she's talking, okay? So if you see me quiet on today, it's because she's cutting me while she's talking. So today was a dreamer refinement. I hope that you were encouraged. I loved your last statements. I loved everything that we talked about today. I actually am going to go and ponder and pray
and say, wow,
and have a Selah moment with God. This was good because I never want the Dreamers Lounge to be fake. I never want the Dreamers Lounge to be a situation where we're not telling you the real about walking in purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of times people look at people with the microphone and they say, oh, well, I want to be that. But there is a lot that goes behind walking in purpose.
For real.
Okay. So I'm just so thankful for you. And I go to Hidden and Found, guys. I'm a great watcher of watching her, see how she's developed, and just her being her first baby kind of being birthed. It's such a special moment of seeing her book. Her book is just, I know it's some good stuff in there. I know it's some good stuff. I need to have a marriage conference with all these great women speakers that I have in my life. So go to Hidden and Found, get that book. What is it? Becoming
a good thing before the ring.
Becoming a good thing before the ring. And what's so yes, look at that, becoming a good thing before the ring. And what is great about that is just that speaks to purpose, because I'm sure she's talking a lot about that in the book, because you have to be whole, right, before you get that ring. And I'm just so thankful you were here with me. Thank you for pushing me when you don't know you're pushing me. And everyone I invite on, I glean from and I'm excited about. So I'm so thankful. Thank you for being on with me today. Just 30 minutes. I'm thankful. And I'm gonna have her on the single stuff and the married stuff too, guys. So and I'll do more promotion next time. Life was a little hectic this week, and she already knows that. But the repost is gonna be here, so you guys come out and watch it. Thank you so much, Rita, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Everybody. Bye.